Taking a live look at traffic then and now. After some backups this afternoon, cars are moving steadily tonight between the Vegas Valley and Southern California. New this holiday weekend, Caltrans opened an extra lane to try and help with some of that bumper-to-bumper traffic that we see around Stateline as Californians flood out of Vegas. And though it certainly helped at Stateline, it quite literally kicked the traffic jams down the road. Take a close look at this video. On the northbound side on the left, there are 2 lanes of traffic. On the right-hand side, heading south out of Nevada, there are 3. Caltrans is now opening the emergency shoulder as a travel lane. Fox 5 found these signs just past Stateline saying shoulder driving is allowed on Sundays and Mondays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. As people approach the border from Prim, they will notice that the lane no longer drops off. Caltrans tells Fox 5 the approximately 5-mile lane begins at the California-Nevada border and runs to the agricultural check station near Mountain Pass. The part-time lane made its debut last weekend, but this holiday weekend was the first big test. Opening up the shoulder to drivers is meant to ease traffic jams. In the past, RTC has reported 20-plus mile backups. While there were backups at Stateline this Labor Day, with the part-time lane open, they stretched only about a mile, nowhere near as bad as past holidays. However, where the interstate narrows to 2 lanes near Mountain Pass, traffic was once again an issue, as it was down the interstate near Baker. This comes after many drivers were stranded as monsoon flooding closed the interstate over the weekend. Back in January, Fox 5 traffic anchor Ken Smith reported from I-15 on Caltrans installing the part-time lane signs, but they faced backwards up until last weekend. And Caltrans tells Fox 5 the I-15 pilot project debuted last weekend and the shoulder was used especially by truck traffic. NDOT says last Labor Day weekend more than 200,000 vehicles crossed Stateline at I-15.